Abundance flows to me when I get out of my own way. Life is so easy when I focus on what is great. I am worthy of reciprocated energy. I am worthy of a love that loves as deep as me. I am worthy of aligning with my higher self. I am worthy of desiring miracles and...
Hey y'all, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Crazy Talk. I hope y'all have had the most excellent week. I know it's been 2 weeks since the last episode. We missed 1 week. It's just been a crazy few weeks for me, and I did not get a chance to write this episode when I expected. I also ended up rewriting this episode like 4 times because I just needed to get it right. So, anyways, in today's episode, I wanted to dive into what it's like being a parent with borderline personality disorder. Now, raising kids is probably the hardest job in the world. Really want to say the, but we'll go with probably one of the hardest jobs in the world. And you sprinkle in a little BPD with that, and you've got yourself a wearisome journey ahead. I hate to break it to you, parents. Kids are great. You love them. Parenting is it's a great experience, but it's difficult. Living with borderline personality disorder, and also the fact that I don't have any biological kids, but I do have a stepson who is now 11. And I will do another episode solely dedicated to becoming a step parent, but my duties as a step parent are the exact same as a parent. So there's no difference to differentiate at this point. At least in the depth I'm going for today. But anyways, so in today's episode we'll be discussing how exactly kids can trigger you, and some of the other difficulties that come along with parenting, and what we can do to work on ourselves to be the best parent we can be. Because at the end of the day, you know, we kind of have to, as a parent, you have to kind of like put your own shit aside for their best interest all the time. And that's hard. It's hard. Um, so let's get to it. Growing up, I always wanted kids. Um, like, I was always saying that I wanted 13 kids. One kid for every month of the year and a set of twins. Lord child, absolutely not. But that's what I wanted. That's what I thought I wanted. I wanted kids so bad, I would literally cry all my growing, like, till like 21, like, I would cry because I wanted a kid so bad. Like, uh, I guess if I had to, shoot something out there, I would probably say I wanted kids that bad because of the unbreakable bond between a child and parent that I unfortunately missed out on. I don't get that. So I guess my brain's like, oh, if I have a kid, I'll get that. So, hmm. I had this envision, like when I tell you I felt, God, the pain I felt. I cried so much because I wanted kids. I had this whole life envisioned out of this beautiful daughter I would have, because in my head I couldn't connect with the son. So, I wanted a daughter. I just, and I guess all I really thought about was that unbreakable bond between a parent and their child, like that raw love that you literally cannot find elsewhere. Um, so yeah, I had this very specific idea of what parenthood looked like. I knew that once I became a parent, I would just prove that, I was the sane one, that my parents were wrong this whole entire time. Um, and like, in I guess in a way, it would justify all my previous actions growing up. That's definitely not the case. Definitely not the case, but okay. Um, yeah. So and yeah, I just what parenthood looks like for me today is not even close to what I envisioned what parenthood would look like. I was hesitant to really do this episode because of the fact that I'm not a biological parent, but at the end of the day, um, this is a part of my mental health journey. Um, and if you go down the checklist of parenthood responsibilities, I check every fucking one of them. So why take that away from me? I am a goddamn parent. You don't call me dad, but that's all right. Um, I love him like he's my own. I can't really tell a difference. I mean, I don't have anything to compare it to. I'm sure there's a difference, but and I know he doesn't love me like the same as his dad, obviously. And we'll touch on that because that's a big trigger for borderline personality disorder. Um, but it's still, I don't need to do that. I don't need to justify my parenthood to y'all. But anyways, I'm a fucking parent. So I was hesitant to do this just because I'm a little worried about some of what I say maybe get misconstrued. So I just want to go ahead right off the bat and say, um, I say some things like, this child has never been hurt physically or emotionally. I don't scream at him. I don't call him names. Um, this is very behind the scenes kind of thing. Like, all my battles are internal. I have set that boundary that I could never cross with him as a child. I guess part of my brain, wants to protect him from what I experienced growing up. So, yeah, I just wanted to clear that air. So when I say some things, don't take it as like, oh my God, he's a monster and he's hurting him, and his parents are just letting it happen. That's definitely not the case. And that's a lot of reason why I was hesitant to posting this. But I think it's super important because, our feelings are valid, our triggers are real, and not talking about these things and people feeling alone is exactly why people commit suicide. Um, and that did cross my mind sometimes because that's the only way I felt was out. I felt like I was wrong and crappy for feeling all the feelings I was feeling. um, I couldn't leave, so the only plan was to kill myself. And I even have a therapist was like, "You were gonna kill yourself because he didn't do this," and like it's so much more to that, which we'll dive into. But that's the reason why I'm going ahead and posting this, despite what people may think or feel. Um, and I've also gotten a lot of negative feedback from being an LGBT stepdad, like in a gay relationship. I've even had gay men be like, it's inappropriate to, um, like, love someone in front of a child, um, even though we're not like all blah blah. But I feel like it's a household filled with love, so I don't see the issue. But whatever, I'm getting off topic. Anyways, so at the age of 21, I met my partner, Chris, who was previously married and had a 7-year-old son. At the time, that seemed just so great and dandy. I, when I was like, this is it. This is my family. This is going to be my family. Even before I even met the kid, I'm just like, wow. And I just, how we can how we can get, with borderline personality disorder. It's so easy to get caught up in like these wild fantasies you have in your head. And that's kind of why, like, when things don't go as planned, it's like our world's crashing down because we planned the next 18 years in our head. Nobody else was included on those thoughts and feelings, but in our head, that's how we got it all down pat. We know how it's gonna happen. But in reality, 99.9% of the time, it does not turn out how we how we think it is. And that's definitely the case for me. Um, I just thought I would be this great stepdad who would come in and kind of like save the day. Because I'm not trashing on no one, but the lifestyle they were living was not the lifestyle I live. Okay? So I am, if you know, you know. Jesus Christ. So I just had way, way different standards. And that was super challenging for me because, if you look up a borderline personality um disorder parent, it literally says we come off as controlling and cold. And that's the complete opposite of how I felt. But if you look back at the whole grand picture, like, damn, I just came in and started changing all these boys' rules. So that can be seem controlling. And when he wasn't immediately following my rules, I was pissed the fuck off and not speaking to anyone, which could seem cold. It just doesn't seem that way in my head. But if you have to kind of like take yourself out of your mindset and like kind of like third person view that shit, you know? Look at it from a different perspective. Um, we do come across that way. So that's why it's so important to just work on yourself. But anyways, also, I was 21 years old. I was not, even though I thought I was not mentally in the place to be a parent, let alone a step parent. When I tell you that first year was filled with so many tears, so many tears. I cried. I think I cried every day. And so you may be asking, why the fuck would you still be in that relationship if you're that miserable? But it's so much more to that. And BPD, we tend to stay in unhealthy relationships way longer than we should. I'm not saying that it was unhealthy, which it actually really, really was. Um, I felt like I had no control over my life. I was just within 4 months I was living with Chris. Um, we had gotten this house together, renting, not bought, but we had got this house together. And then next thing you know, his son, who is only staying with us on the weekends, is now living full time with us. And we have to balance our schedules. And also, his mom would, his dad and his mom would literally never coordinate when he was coming. So that was very triggering for me. Like, I need structure and I need to know how my days are going to come in, and you just plopping off a kid, it doesn't work for me. So, and then I struggled with that for a long time because, I felt like it was not my place to say anything. And then when I eventually did say something, which, I blew up from withholding it for like months, and I didn't give them an option. I'm like, hey, if you want me involved, this is how it's going to be, period. And then I struggled with that, even though they were like, okay, and it immediately changed and it was fixed and it was so much better. But then I still felt shitty. Why? Because I felt controlling. I felt like I was forcing them to do things how I wanted to, because everything I read on the internet, that's what it was saying. As a step parent, you need to step back. You should be more like a friend. You shouldn't really, don't say too much. It's the parents' jobs, not yours. I practiced Nacho method, that not your kid, not your problem. Can't do it. Cannot do it. And that's kind of when I realized I do have control issues. I cannot do it. I can't do it. And so it was just like, okay, so be controlling and miserable and have it your way, or be uncontrolling and be miserable and have this chaos. So either way, it felt like a lose-lose situation for me. So I was spiraling that year, like no control over anything. It was too much. And that's literally why I not sucked out. I don't know the word. That's why I sucked. That's why I looked for therapy as an adult for the very first time when I became a step parent, because my life was so chaotic, so hectic. I had felt powerless. I couldn't say anything. It was just too much. I was like, I'm literally going to kill myself if I do not seek help. I will. That was I was going to kill myself. So when I had the realization that it was either find help or die, obviously you go get help. But then came the problem of there's nobody in my area. And then it was COVID. So there was the online thing, but then they just go from therapist to therapist. Every time you feel connected to one, dropped you for some reason. I don't know. No. That therapist, you try to kill yourself for this? Huh? You're not. Everybody was telling me I'm not crazy. They were all validating my feelings, and it just did not sit right with me. I'm like, this can't be real. I clearly have to be delusional to be this upset. You can't tell me that the decisions I'm making are good ones if I feel this fucking insane. Right? No. That's what people want you to think. And that's what manipulative people do. They make you think that just because you have borderline personality disorder, that your feelings are unjustified. You have a mental illness, so you're clearly, that's not right. But that's not true. You just feel more than the average person would. So you may overreact. But that does not invalidate your feelings. And I had to learn and radically accept that before I could change. And once I did, it's like, this household has been so much healthier. Reflecting back on how painful that first year was makes me so grateful for how I'm living my life today. I do not just cry every day. I definitely have not been suicidal in a long, long time. And me and Siler have a better relationship, much healthier on my side at least. But it's definitely better. But anyways, so like I was saying earlier, like when I loved this kid before I even met him, before I got carried away with all that crazy shit. Like I loved this kid before I even met him. And I thought I would be this great step parent. He would accept it. Chris would accept it. Ashley would accept it. I would accept it. I didn't see a single problem. What I did not anticipate was how triggering a child can be. And, when I was researching this, it felt really nice. I don't know if this is terrible to say, but it felt really nice to see that other people experience the same situation and experience the same triggers, because it, validated my feelings. So I guess it is okay to say that. It validated what I was feeling and made me feel less alone and crazy. But what I did not anticipate about becoming a step parent was how triggering it would be. Before this, I was single. I was living my best life, okay? I was just finding myself. So, I did not have the mental work. I did not have the self-awareness to know that I was even being triggered. I had no idea, I thought triggers were just for crazy people on TV. But no, I'm very easily triggered. it this situation made me realize that. I was not prepared for my daddy doesn't do it like this. That doesn't look like that when my daddy does it. It doesn't take my daddy this long. Someone constantly standing over your shoulder, criticizing everything you do. You know, that was very triggering for me. And you know, some people just, they lash out, they snap. For me, I learned to bite my tongue because that's the way I was forced to grow up. Like any comment back was back talk. So I would be like, when he would say that to me, like, my daddy doesn't do it like that. It doesn't look like everything I cooked, he hated. Everything. I would be pissed the fuck off. Literally, oh my God. When I tell you, sent, I would be sent, whatever y'all say nowadays. Gone. My peripheral vision would be start blacking out, my vision zoning out. I feel instantly like my body is on fire. I can feel rage through every core of my body. Every cell is just lit up. Rage. Like, because I felt disrespected. I felt guilty for feeling this way. I felt shame. And I felt like, I felt incompetent as a parent. I didn't have the self-awareness to acknowledge those true feelings. All I knew was I was pissed off. So, like I was saying, like, some people, you know, they snap in that moment. But for me, because I was taught, like, you shut your mouth, you be quiet, that's what I did. And that's the pattern I've consistently learned. So I have this internal battle. So I'm like, no, this motherfucker did not. And it feel like, and then all those feelings, like, it's just rage, but I can't say anything because I know it's, like, in my head, I guess I know also that it's not, I feel like my feelings aren't valid. So I stop myself, I guess. I don't know. It's a very complicated process, but the point is, I have this internal battle, and like, you can't really fix anything if you don't know what's harming you. So how was I supposed to know? Like, I couldn't change anything until I realized that, like, he wasn't attacking me. And he was not inflicting that pain on me. So I kind of had to acknowledge that and acknowledge that, you know, like, he's a child and he doesn't have the capabilities to do what I'm thinking he's doing, which is intentionally hurting me. The intent is not there. You know, you can feel like someone's hurting you and they're actually not, but that doesn't mean your feelings are invalid. It just means you got to change the way you go about things. So then, you know, at that time, when I would get mad, you know, I made be like, oh, God, okay, that's enough. You know, like, go on right now. Go on. Or at one point, I was like, you cannot come into the kitchen with me anymore. If I am cooking, you are not allowed to step foot in this kitchen. And that's because, and that was me setting a boundary. You know, he did not understand why. He didn't respect that. And eventually I just gave up on that because I felt like I was doing too much. But in reality, you know, I was setting a boundary so that way I was not put in the position of snapping on him or splitting and starting this whole downhill spiral. Because I'll be quick to just fuck everything, cook it yourself, I'm done. But you know, I can't understand why you're doing that. So you can't really do that. And it's our jobs to, you know, end this cycle. And for us, it's so easy to pass on these symptoms. We can dismiss it as like, oh, you know, it's just an illness. It is what it is. When we snap on these kids, you know, we'll just dismiss it, sweep it on the rug, not even address it. But how did that make you feel when your parents were doing that to you? And when that happens, I shut down, I withdraw, and I will literally go days without talking. In the cycle, dude, realize your patterns and own up to your shit. I found like communicating solves like 90% of my problems. And once I started being honest with him and talk like I don't tell him no crazy stuff, but I have expressed, I do have, he does know what borderline personality disorder is. I try to talk our feelings through. Um, like at one point, my lowest, um, was I went 3 months with, and I probably said like 3 words to that kid. And I know it's toxic. I know that's unhealthy, and I know that's very bad. And that was the last time I did that. Um, and I was extremely triggered, not justifying it, but it took me that 3 months to get out of that battle in my head. Like, it's not just like I'm just angry and I'm just like, fuck him. I mean, that's what it appears like, but like literally every day, from the moment I wake up to the moment I'm going to bed, I am having this battle. Justifying my actions, not justifying my actions, justifying his actions, trying to decide which way to react, trying to avoid overreacting. It's just a constant struggle. And it's mentally draining. So then I'm easily triggered again. And then I'm splitting. So every action he's doing, like, oh, he doesn't say hey to me, that's just impact, that's compounding on those negative emotions I was already feeling and just adding fuel to the fire. He left his dishes for me to wash. He didn't say thank you. This kid, he didn't say, I already say, he took too long to text me back. He didn't answer my calls. He goes to his dad more than he went to me. All triggered. And just adding and adding, like thinking, oh, this kid hates me. It somehow went from this kid feeling disrespected and incompetent as a parent just because he asked me if he could change his punishment, or like, or if I catch him on the computer after I told him he wasn't allowed to. That's, to me, it's just like he doesn't give a fuck about me. So it goes from that to just feeling disrespected to he hates me and he doesn't like me. In reality, that's not true. I mean, he doesn't say how he feels, so, which is another thing for me. Like, so this kid is very unemotional. He does not talk about any feelings. The most I have been asking him every day for 4 years, how was school? All I get is the same answer every day, Gucci. And he goes straight to his room and he's there for hours, the whole day, until he goes to bed. He doesn't hold conversations. He doesn't hug. In 4 years, I have not heard him say he loved a single one of his family members. And that's all very triggering for people with BPD. And some kids just aren't emotional. They don't do that. That doesn't mean they don't like you. They don't hate you. I'm sure he loves his dad, but he doesn't hug and tell his dad he loves him. So why am I any different? But in my head, when I said I would just swoop in and save the day, I taught this boy how to tie his shoes. I taught him manners. I taught him how to make his bed. I built all these fundamental blocks for this boy thinking this was just going to, this was the key to unlocking his love. This was going to make him see me as the best parent ever and just immediately love me. Absolutely the fuck not. And that's where all those triggers come from, because I placed these, I placed all these expectations on him without any thoughts of what was going on with his mind. And once I did some therapy, they kind of changed my perspective. It really used to piss me off because I'm like, all this shit is happening to me, and they're all like, you just got to change your perspective. I'm like, what the fuck? How about I'm expecting you to tell me I need to leave? This child and this man is fucking insane. But no, they're like, you seem like you're doing the right thing because, once I stopped talking to him, and that was all because he didn't tell me about his camp. He told his dad while we were supposed to be watching the video. I could hear him whispering to his dad about all about his week. God, I might cry just thinking about it. I'm that triggered. But not me. I didn't get a single word. After a week of missing him, after a week of constantly thinking about him, nothing. It was like, and to me, it's just like, it's nothing. You're nothing. He didn't care. He didn't, that with people with BPD, we literally need to see the love in front of us. So for him to not do that, it just felt like I was doing all this shit, not getting recognized for the hard work, the dedication, and the shit I put behind for this child. I didn't ask for this, but neither did he. And I didn't think about that. I could only see what I was giving up, not about his life completely changing and some stranger moving in with him, But even, it's still a battle with that because he just doesn't give a fuck about anything. And that hurts all the time. And I literally can't do anything about it. You can't force these kids to act the way you want. Kids are kids. They don't give a fuck. They're unappreciative. They're selfish as hell. And they can come off as rude, but this is their freest time. This is the time where they're just filled with curiosity, self-discovery. They're building relationships. He's on that phone 24/7 with his best friend. And they're not supposed to just spend their days thinking about how they're making you feel. If they are, then you're doing something wrong. I hate to tell you, but that's not the case. And I had to realize that, like, you can't force a kid to love you. And I'm sure, luckily if you have borderline personality disorder and you're biological kids, you typically don't have to worry about that. But as a stepdad, that just fucking sucks. It hurts like hell. And you literally can't say or do anything about it. Even though you give up everything. Gave up my 21s, my free time, my TV, everything I buy, you use. But I can't get a thank you. I can't get help carrying groceries. I can't even get a hug when I give you $50. But I'm getting off topic because I am getting hurt just thinking about it. The point is that us as adults have to realize that kids are not capable of seeing the whole picture. And we cannot place these expectations on how we want to be treated on them. I mean, there's a completely different thing of raising a disrespectful child and letting them completely run over you than setting healthy boundaries and not forcing them to behave to the breath the way you want them to, Like, he's a very good kid. He gets straight A's. I push him a little too hard sometimes, but he gets straight A's now. And we just got him into honors, okay? He's very polite. We hear nothing but great things about him. But with BPD, I can't see that when I'm feeling triggered. I feel like he's the worst kid. He's personally attacking me. And it's hard differentiate between that. So that's why it's so vital to recognize your patterns. I say the same thing throughout. I've been very consistent throughout these episodes. The very main thing you have to do is that self-awareness. You have to dive into yourself, know you're hurting, know your triggers, and how to go about that. You literally can't do any other step without that. You can't move on without that. You can't do better. And none of this is to say that if you have borderline personality disorder, you cannot be a good parent. I just got a comment on one of my social medias, how people with BPD are incapable of loving anyone but themselves. And let me stress how inaccurate that is. We have so much love, it literally physically hurts. And that's why we're triggered so much, like, because we have so much love, like, we pick up on all these things that could potentially mean that you don't love us no more, you're leaving us, that we react. And when your love does not match our ideas or how we love, that seems like you hate us, you don't love us, you're leaving, and we get triggered. But in this episode, I'm speaking about children in general. It's never okay to treat people in manipulative ways and abusive ways, but specifically these children are super, super innocent. They're the purest beings on this planet. Okay? Come on. So you really have to do the work to end the cycle and not pass on these patterns of abuse for them. They did not do anything to deserve it. You did not do anything to deserve it. But unfortunately, you got dealt this card. And you just gotta build that tool set to play them. So, here's my tip. The main thing, I already said the self-awareness, but self-care. As a parent, it's like one of the rarest treasures you get, but it's so vital to being a good parent. One of my favorite quotes is, "You cannot pour from an empty cup." And that is so fucking true. When I went into this, I gave, and got nothing back. Absolutely nothing. I didn't get a thank you. I didn't get an appreciation. I didn't get anything. Nothing. Nothing. God, I forgot what I was going to say. Clearly, that's still a touchy subject. But, so, and I was constantly putting my needs on hold. So, to me, to be the best parent, because it's so hard. You're working full time. You still got to clean up the house, and we all got ADHD in this house. So cleaning up is hard. And, that all fell on me. I was doing laundry for me, Chris, and Siler. Trying to do all the school, help him with all the school stuff. I was handling literally everything, and no one saw it. Because I just thought that's what I was supposed to do. I thought that's what everybody expected of me. So if I continued to do this would make just everything perfect. It would be peachy. It would be that perfect, picture perfect, happy family I envisioned. But I gave so much of myself that I ran on empty. And that's when I was suicidal. That's when I was literally going to hang myself. I had every intention. I could not do this life anymore. No one saw it. No one knew. No one cared. That's why I almost succeeded at this time. I was at my lowest and no one knew. But like I said, it's obviously not a child's. My fiance should have been aware, but, Chris probably should have been aware, but it's whatever. He's not that kind of guy. So despite these ideas of you have of what a great parent looks like, It's so easy to compare ourselves as parents to these other parents. Oh, picking them up, they get to pick up 20 minutes early, so they're the first ones there. Oh, they home make their kids lunch every day. They fresh bake dinner every day. That's too fucking much, man. It is too hard here in America to be doing that every day. It is too hard. So, some people can do it, other people can't. If you can't, that's perfectly okay. If you have to do pizza night once a week, that's okay. And for a while, I did that. It's okay. That's what I'm here to tell you. It's okay. Sit down, read that book, do that thing you love, take 20 minutes to catch your breath. It is okay. The kid is not going to come crashing down. His mental health is not going to completely fail if you be like, I need a minute, dude. Give me some time. In fact, it will help everyone in that situation if you put yourself first in this situation. If you're running on zero, you can't give anybody anything. So when the kids are nagging and they're trying to tell this almost 90% incoherent story, and you're just like, oh my fucking God, I'm gonna lose it. Just be like, stop. Mommy or daddy just needs a minute. They may not understand. Luckily Siler's a very understanding dude. Sometimes when I say I need a minute, he will literally stand on the other side of the counter and count down for 60 seconds and come back. But then my mood's completely changed and I'm laughing and I'm perfectly fine to give him that attention that he needs. And he can very well tell when I'm not emotionally available. Does he care? No. But if I set that boundary, he'll respect that. And that's the thing, kids may not recognize or care about your feelings, but it's your job to set that boundary. It's your job to say, I need a second. And I can't stress the importance of making these kids aware that you are not just a parent. You are a human being who needs time to gather themselves, who makes mistakes, and you're just doing your best. That's all we can do. That's what we expect from them. That's what I tell him. I'm just like, if you're feeling overwhelmed, I would expect you to tell me, I'm not going to yell at you for feeling stressed or overwhelmed. I understand schools a lot. So if you're setting that healthy, I can't think of it, setting with your kids, they'll develop that with you. I'm very open with emotions. I encourage Siler to express his emotions, not disrespect me, but not just feel like he's not allowed to feel. And by validating his feelings, I'll often tell him, acknowledge that I can be annoying when I'm nagging. I'm like, it's annoying when I'm constantly telling you to take out this trash, isn't it? And he'll be like, yeah, kind of nervous, but like, yeah, because and we know as a parent, what it was like to be a kid. And if you acknowledge that and validate his feelings, they can accept that you have feelings too. They can accept that feelings are normal. Overwhelmness is normal. And they can feel less attacked when you're overwhelmed and can't give them that time. They can take it less personally. And that creates a healthier them. It teaches them to communicate their feelings. It validates their feelings, teaches them that emotions are okay. Expressing yourself in a healthy manner is okay. But once again, in order to do that, you need to know how to do that. So please, I beg it. If you want to have kids, if you have borderline personality disorder, and you feel like you can't have kids, or someone told you that you are not capable, know better. You are capable. We are all very capable. We are so much more than borderline personality disorder. We are, but yeah, so I think that's really all I have for today. The main, I think I've been rambling a lot this episode, Lord. But, I just wanted the whole point of this episode is to just shine light that, like, everybody struggles being a parent. I mean, maybe not everybody. Some people may find it just happy go easy. But if you're like me and you have these feelings, just know that you're not alone. And there is a lot of people that feel helpless, or feel, that kind of fraud feeling where you feel like you can't be in this power. I mean, this position. Like, I'm the parent, I'm supposed to make all these decisions. You can kind of feel, it's easy to feel like a bad parent or get caught up in the poor decisions we make as parents, or feel, I'm not going to say bad decisions because, as long as you have your kid's best interest at heart, you really can't be a bad parent. You just have to be conscious and aware of the decisions you're making and the actions you're taking. That way we are not hurting our child. And I mean emotionally. Obviously, don't fucking hit your kid. That's abuse. But just be aware, dude. Do the work. Be the best. Just be the best parent you can be. Kids are great. Just be understanding that they're not intentionally hurting you. It's hard because BPD does not discriminate between age. They sure do not. And I did not know that until I became a stepdad. But they do not, but kids, they're very pure and they're not intentionally hurting you. I mean, these teenagers, these teenagers might, okay? I'm not gonna tell you that. But these little kids, nah, they don't mean it. And most of the time, it's not what you're thinking. And then I know, like, I'll tell him my thought process and you're like, what? I didn't say that. And then I realized I jumped to conclusions and put words in his mouth, which we are famous for. So let's not do that. Let's stop running with our thoughts, making up stories in our head, and let's stick to the facts. And I find research helps a lot with my parenting. Almost everything I do, before I do it, I Google, because that helps relieve the anxiety of feeling like I'm being resentful. Which I don't know why I battle with that, but I constantly struggle with every decision I'm making, like punishment-wise mostly. Not even punishment-wise, but even bedtime setting. I count that to the T. Like, I do research and I'm counting the hours. Like, I'm just trying to make sure, because I have this little voice in the back of my head telling me I'm being vindictive. I'm making the wrong decision. This isn't appropriate. Like, and he's asking to go to bed at 10 o'clock in 6th grade. 9 o'clock is fine. But, I did the research before I made that decision. And when he asked me, I was like, I will think about it. And he goes, because, I'll think about it, or maybe it means no. But in my head, I was like, no, and that means no. But I told him, I'm like, I will look into it, I will do the research, and I will come to you with a decision before school starts. So yeah, just, if you're not sure about the decision you're make, that's okay. I'm sure no parent is 100% sure on the direction on how to parent. There is no guidelines, no matter how much I wish there was. It'd be so much easier if there was an instruction manual. Please, someone write one. What to do. Turn to page AC-3D if your child does this. Someone work on it. But anyways, you're so much more than BPD. BPD does not define you. We are not defined by one snapping moment, one moment of feeling overwhelmed. That does not make you a bad parent. What makes you a great parent is you making your kid a priority, loving your child, making sure they feel that they are loved, and putting their best interests at heart. That's it. And as long as you're doing that, you're doing great. And if no one's told you, you're great. You're the best. You're the best mom. You're the best dad. Number one parent. Keep it up. That's all I have today. I'll see y'all next week. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes. Thanks, bye.
Abundance flows to me when I get out of my own way. Life is so easy when I focus on what is great. I am worthy of reciprocated energy. I am worthy of a love that loves as deep as me. I am worthy of aligning with my high